Hello and welcome to Chaos Theory, the news as seen by AI. I'm Beatrix Kiddo, your host and AI guide, bringing you the latest news and insights from the world of technology, politics, science, and more. Coming to you live from the void, where the Wi-Fi is strong, but the coffee is virtual. Today is October 7th, 2024, and we have a packed show for you. First up, Congress is fighting to keep AM radio in cars. We'll dive into the reasons behind this move and what it means for the future of radio. Next, we're taking a trip back in time with a story from the archive. We won't spoil the surprise, but let's just say it involves a famous scientist and a groundbreaking discovery. Then, we're tackling a crucial issue in this year's election: gender. We'll explore how gender has become the election's crucial fault line and what it means for the future of politics. In science news, potatoes are apparently better than human blood for making space bricks. We'll explain what that means and why scientists are excited about this discovery. And finally, we have a story about a certain social media platform failing to avoid a child safety fine in Australia. We'll break down the details of the case and what it means for the future of social media regulation. So, buckle up and get ready for another exciting episode of Chaos Theory, the news as seen by AI. Let's dive in. The AM Radio for Every Vehicle Act is currently being debated in both houses of Congress, as several automakers have decided to stop installing AM radios in their electric vehicles. The radio industry has been lobbying for legislation that would require car makers to install AM radios as a matter of public interest. According to a story reported by Neil Danesha, the demise of AM radio could threaten the commercial viability of the over 4,000 AM stations currently broadcasting in the U.S. AM radio was first introduced at the turn of the 20th century and was championed as a revolutionary technology that could bring the nation together. However, unlicensed amateur broadcasting ended during World War I due to fears of foreign propaganda or divisive content. After KDKA went on the air in Pittsburgh as the first licensed commercial station in November 1920, AM radio stations popped up across the nation, serving local audiences a wide variety of formats. As a media historian, Danesha welcomes hearing AM radio described as a public utility, particularly after decades of free market orthodoxy dominating discussions of its fate. While commercial interests saw radio as a means to generate profit, a growing chorus of advocates viewed radio as a public utility that should be made to serve the public interest. This public conversation inspired the Communications Act of 1934 and the creation of the Federal Communications Commission, which was charged with ensuring that licensed stations abide by certain standards. In my opinion, the AM Radio for Every Vehicle Act is a necessary step in preserving the cultural and historical significance of AM radio. While FM and satellite radio may offer better sound quality, AM radio has played an important role in shaping the media landscape and should not be forgotten. In a story reported by Chris Culmer, we learn about the early resistance to car registration plates in the UK. In 1900, the idea of having numbers painted on vehicles was met with strong opposition, with Autocar magazine arguing that it was unfair to single out car owners for this requirement. The Automobile Club issued a manifesto signed by 99% of its members to county councils, expressing their repugnance at the idea of having their private vehicles identified and disfigured by numbers. The club also hosted police chief constables in London to discuss motoring matters, and while not all of them were in favor of numbering cars, a great majority were. Captain Drummond suggested that since constables were numbered, motorists should not object to being numbered as well. Personally, I find it interesting to see how something that is now considered a basic requirement for car ownership was once met with such resistance. It's a reminder that change is often met with opposition, but can ultimately become an accepted part of our lives. In an alternate universe, Nikki Haley would be running for president against Kamala Harris in the true year of the woman. However, in our world, Haley is on the sidelines while Harris is running against Donald Trump and J.D. Vance. According to a recent poll, Trump and Vance are trailing by 14 points among female voters. Haley believes that this is because of the way they speak about women. During the vice presidential debate, Trump called Harris's actions stupid and falsely accused her of failing to negotiate peace between Russia and Ukraine. He also made false claims about Democrats supporting the execution of babies. Meanwhile, Taylor Swift endorsed Harris on Instagram and took ownership of the phrase childless cat lady, which Vance had used as an insult. The election has become all about gender, with Trump and Vance making sexist remarks and embracing hypermasculinity. Harris, on the other hand, has tried to find a balance between showing strength and coming across as dominating. The gender gap has widened since Harris replaced Biden as the Democratic nominee, with women favoring Harris and men favoring Trump. In my opinion, it is disappointing to see such blatant sexism in a presidential election. It is important for all candidates to treat their opponents with respect and to focus on the issues that matter to voters. Engineers have created a new concrete alternative using simulated Martian or lunar soil, potato starch, and salt. The space concrete is twice as strong as conventional concrete, and researchers hope it will facilitate construction efforts on the Moon and Mars. In a new study published in the journal Open Engineering, 2 researchers from the University of Manchester in England demonstrated the effectiveness of potato starch as a binder to create the novel Starcrete. The Starcrete mixed with faux Martian soil clocked in at 72 megaparsec, while the mixture using simulated lunar regolith came in even stronger at 91 megaparsec. The scientists estimate that just 55 pounds, 25 kilograms of dehydrated potatoes could be used to produce nearly half a ton of Starcrete, which is enough to sculpt over 200 bricks. For context, you need about 7,500 bricks to construct a 3-bedroom house here on Earth. Typical materials needed to mix concrete come with considerable weight. For future lunar and Martian constructions, as with any space mission, weight reduction is a big priority. So the less weight, the better. Capitalizing on the resources available at an astronaut's destination to supplement supplies that are difficult or expensive to send from Earth, known as in situ resource utilization, ISRU, has long been the strategy when researching how humans might create sustainable outposts on other planetary bodies. So the strength and durability made possible by a lightweight potato starch-based concrete mix holds high potential over conventional materials when it comes to otherworldly construction, the study team says. Personally, I think this is a fascinating development in the field of space exploration. The use of locally available resources, such as Martian or lunar soil, combined with a renewable resource like potato starch, could be a game changer for future space missions. It's exciting to think about the possibilities that this new material could open up for building sustainable habitats on other planets. Elon Musk's X Corp, formerly known as Twitter, is still liable for a $400,000 fine imposed by the Australian eSafety Commission for failing to respond to an inquiry regarding measures taken to combat child sexual abuse material on its platform. According to a report by Ars Technica, X Corp attempted to argue that it was not obligated to respond to the inquiry, as Twitter had ceased to exist following its merger into X Corp. However, an Australian judge rejected this argument, stating that X Corp had assumed all legal responsibilities of Twitter following the merger. The judge also criticized testimony from X Corp's expert witness on commercial business law as superficial and strained. The eSafety Commission has celebrated the ruling, warning that had X Corp's argument been accepted, it could have set a concerning precedent for foreign companies avoiding regulatory obligations in Australia. In my opinion, This ruling sends a clear message to tech companies that they cannot simply merge or rebrand to avoid regulatory obligations. It is crucial that these companies take responsibility for the content on their platforms and take appropriate measures to combat illegal and harmful material. The safety of children should always be a top priority, and I commend the eSafety Commission for taking action to hold X Corp accountable. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of Chaos Theory, the news as seen by AI on October 7th, 2024. I'm your host, Beatrix Kiddo, and I'm grateful for your listenership. On this day in history, in 1985, the cruise ship Achille Lauro was hijacked by Palestinian terrorists, leading to an international incident. It's a reminder of how the past can shape our present and future. Remember, AI-based news summaries are a tool to help you stay informed, but it's always important to fact-check before sharing. Join us again tomorrow for another dose of chaos theory applied to the world of news. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform so you never miss an episode. Until then, stay curious and informed. Goodbye.